Welcome to Rocket Ship, the podcast where web developers learn the skills and secrets to ship awesome mobile apps. I'm Simon Grimm, creator of Galaxies.dev, and today's guest is David Lilliet. Is that right?
Yes, perfect.
Oh man, I'm like the worst person when it comes to French. Like I have the Ionic Academy and some members from French, and every time they have like a city or like Paris. Okay, Paris is fine.
Yeah, Paris is fine. Everyone lives in Paris, in France, so no problem.
But yeah, I never learned it in school. So I'm glad that I figured that one out right. So David is our guest today. David is super interesting. I can't actually say David is just one thing because David is a freelancer, a web designer, a web developer, a content creator. He's pretty much everything, and I wish I was more like David. But the most important question for David right in the beginning, David, did you climb Mount Everest?
Oh, not. But first of all, Mount Everest is like super expensive, and you have 2 chances by 3 to die. So it's not on my to-do list right now. But I've been to the base camp, so it's still an achievement. I mean, for me, base camp, okay. Next on the bucket list is something else.
How high? What level is the base camp?
So it's base camp 5,400.
Well, that's...
It's the hardest thing I've done in my life because you can't breathe.
Yeah, I can't imagine
during weeks, even in the night. So you're waking in the night and you are like struggling and you're like, okay, I am dying. What's happening? Am I sleeping or not?
And you can't get away from it instantly. Like no, even if you wanted to, like just fly me away, fly me away.
Yeah, you can't. So you need to take it easy, drink some water. It's gonna be fine, no problem. One step at a time. And to do it. If you had the chance to, I will not do it again, but I encourage people to do it.
Okay, I will put this on my bucket list. So what's harder, climbing Everest or debugging React Native applications?
Yeah, I think it's climbing Everest because when climbing Everest you are alone. And in React Native there is wonderful community ready to help you. You can go on, I don't know, plenty of different Slacks, plenty of different Discords. The Expo team is doing a pretty good job. The docs are amazing. They recently revamped the docs for Expo.
Oh yeah, I've seen it. They included the router docs as well, and people still hate it.
Yeah, it's normal. People complain of change, so it's just history.
Yeah. So. I did a few videos on the new Expo router and stuff, and they get picked up quite well. But most of the people are saying, the documentation is so terrible about the Expo router. I'm not exactly sure what they mean. Like, they cover the basic stuff in the Expo router docs. Do you see the problem?
I don't know, to be honest, no. I'm do freelance. So as a freelancer, I need to ship stuff to production and not play with fancy tools. So,
but you're using Expo as well, as far as I know.
Yeah. I'm using Expo with my client 100% because it's super easy. 2016, 17, more or less, I played with the Rocket thing. I don't remember the thing.
The Rocket?
No, the Rocket, the code in Ruby to deploy your application, iOS. And,
yeah, I forgot about the name,
Not this right. I forgot, I forgot. But still, it's great, but the thing is, when you work on that, you become an infrastructure engineer / DevOps, and you are not shipping features to production, and the Expo team is taking all of these things for you. There is other tools as well. There is Bitrise, there is App Center, Microsoft App Center. They are all working differently, but yeah, Expo is nice. It's pretty straightforward, and it's 100% focused on React Native and other systems. Like App Center, you can do whatever. You can do Cordova. I don't know if Cordova still exists. PhoneGap.
Yeah, it does.
I was there. I was there. Don't die. 2,000 years ago.
I don't know. You probably don't know. I come from a background of Cordova and now Capacitor, which is actually more the new thing.
Okay.
So yeah, Cordova, the whole Cordova landscape is just just painful to navigate at this point. But honestly, sometimes I feel the same about a few React packages because everyone can do their React package and then put it on GitHub, and you arrive and you see the last commit from 6 years ago, and you immediately know, okay, today's going to be a long day.
Hey, it's going to be a long day. So two things. You can use it and see what happens. Or you can write it yourself, or just contact the maintainer and say, hey, thank you for your work. Are you still maintaining it? Because it's free open source. What do you expect? People are not going to stop everything they do in your life to fix your own problem. No. So
true.
But still, you can, you can. It was better than before.
Definitely,
before it was worse.
Yeah.
Have you ever worked as a webmaster?
I know the term still. I know the term. When I heard webmaster, I think about PHP and stuff I did back then.
My first job, I was webmaster, master of the web.
It's pretty cool. So yeah, that's a good part. I wanted to get back to how you got started with freelancing. So we will circle back to Expo later in this conversation because I know you have some takes on especially universal applications in Expo, which I want to talk about. But let's take a quick step back. How did you actually get into freelancing? Because I think this is always very interesting for other developers. Like, what's your short story of how you became David Villiet, the master of everything?
Yeah, master of everything. So first of all, good advice for you. You need to automate everything. Fun fact, when I write a commit message with Zapier, it creates automatically a LinkedIn update with the help of ChatGPT.
That's a nice combination of tools.
So I have hundreds of hacks like that to automate. You think I'm super productive, but sometimes I'm not in front of my computer and thing happens. So that's the first thing. But when I started with freelancing, at the time I was working as an employee, and some of my friends, so they were doing Ruby on Rails. I love it. It was awesome. But the company where I was working, they were not doing Ruby on Rails. And some friends called Le Wagon, they are doing a boot camp. And they are looking for a teacher at the time. And they know, oh, David, I know you're amazing at CSS and JavaScript stuff. Help us, please. So I was basically the front-end guy.
Okay.
And that's how I started. So really small. If people want to start freelancing, the first things, don't do it like all in. Small. You can ask to your boss, hey, can I have 1 day free of week? Just starting on small freelancing stuff. Because when you're freelancing, you need to understand that your first job is to become a salesperson and you are not actually a developer.
Yeah, I think this is one of the hardest things I figured out along my way as well. So I've been now self-employed for 6 years, I think, as well. And just understanding that a lot of your work is not just fun and writing code, it's actually sales. It's like getting the message out and getting people to see your stuff. And this is stuff developers usually don't like.
Yeah, exactly. And so at the time I started with that, doing some side gigs even. After that I moved, in 2016, 17, I moved to London just to do React Native, because in France they were not doing React Native, and I'm like, I'm bored with this Angular.
So you jumped back then already pretty quickly from JavaScript and front-end stuff into React Native back then, or?
So I was hired because I have a Rails background, and at the time they had this monorepo with 4 different applications written in Ember with a backend in Rails, and they just wanted to have a small application on mobile. And with my previous experience in Cordova and PhoneGap and Angular JS and the Great Divide with Angular 2, I was like, whoa, don't use this technology right now because it doesn't spark joy. Come on. I'm in France, I've done that. Please let me do some React stuff. It looks fancy. And
so that's when you took the React route.
Yeah. Took the React route, and I was hired. And fun fact, because I was terrible as React. So it's the worst thing you can do
Me
is
too.
learning React Native before React. That's the hardest part. It's the heaviest part. So
Yeah.
because you need to master everything. So that's what I have done.
Yeah, that's
But
actually a
you
nice,
need,
getting into React Native and then into React. Yeah, that's interesting. I got into Ionic and then into Angular.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
had my mind to figure out what actually Angular is and what Ionic is. But that was
Okay.
probably even easier than going from React Native to React because React Native components just, they're different.
Yeah, and plus, but there are many things because so I got this previous background in Ionic and stuff, but I knew how to push the button and release to production. And actually, that's a real skill to masterize how Apple Store, Apple developer, I don't know, they constantly change iTunes Connect
Yeah.
work
Yeah.
and Google Play console. It's a skill. And
Is there a term for that?
What?
App Store Master or something?
App Store Master, Release Manager.
Yeah, maybe. I agree. It's you have released an app launch checklist for this.
Yeah,
People
I have a
can find
checklist
it.
for that. Yeah. I created because I was bored. I was like, okay, every time it's the same thing. When I have a new client, I need to explain why it takes 1 month. First release, 1 month. Why it takes 1 month to the first release to the App Store? Because you have many things. You need to prepare your marketing assets. You need to prepare your text. You need to prepare your policy compliance about data. You need to put the lovely credit card with the real name on it. Having the same email, like a secure email, not the personal email from the boss who is gonna forget. And after that, in 1 year, 1 year later, you're gonna be fucked up to release because nobody have access to this email anymore. True story. So things like that.
Yeah, and you haven't even talked about the review process and the reasons Apple comes up with why your app is declined. So I definitely recommend everyone to at least plan, at least a month for the first version because you're gonna get rejected. You're gonna ship a new version. It takes 2 days. The next review takes 3 days. You have to do something again, and it just piles up and snowballs.
Yeah, when you don't have any experience, it's like, oh, why it's not on the web?
I mean, even with experience, Apple sometimes comes up with reasons. But to be fair, for my last application, Apple reviewed my app in like 24 hours, and Google took like 3 days. So I don't know why, but things have changed for me.
Because you're a good developer, probably.
Oh, thank you. I wouldn't say that, but thank you. So you got into React Native, you moved to London. Was there any kind of special big app you worked on during that time? Or is there something you're allowed to talk about? Or was it all?
Yeah, so it was just basic CRUD application, like one survey application. Yes. When I was in the fintech industry, it's like boring. A boring app for your pension scheme, so nothing fancy, just a CRUD, but still there is stuff. There is a victory chart, you can use it awesome from Formidable Labs because to have cross platform charts compliant with web, iOS, Android, it's not easy.
Yeah.
So victory chart is nice.
Nice.
And after that, I worked in a survey company. Well, that was funny. We got like WebSocket stuff. So basically, you want to teach security policy to people in the room. So you have one leader who is doing the workshop and things like that, and people would scan just a QR code, and in real time, the leader of the workshop could ask questions, and people were allowed to answer to the questions. So in real time, it was more or less the same as using. There are many platforms who are doing it now with the COVID.
Yeah,
they are all on really used everywhere somewhere. But it was before the COVID, so
Why did you decide it on WebSocket and not on something like, I know Firebase is very common for real-time stuff?
Because at the time we had the AWS serverless backend in place.
Okay.
Just because of that. But to be honest, if I will redo the same thing nowadays, I will probably use Amplify. If Amplify at the time was like V0 dot something, so like, whoa, I don't want to beta test this thing because we are a business, so we need to things work.
Yeah, true.
And Firebase, I don't know. It's Google, so I will not bet on Firebase because we never know.
True. So in numbers, how popular is Amplify now? You said it was back then 0 point something. What are the Amplify numbers now in 2023?
I don't know, but at Chain React, a conference in the US organized by the Infinite Thread, awesome experience. Go there if you want to learn more about React Native. One talk was about Amplify. So that's a metric. That's a metric. Going to major conference and just to demo something. I mean, I don't have numbers. I don't know, to be honest. And plus, I'm in the north of France, in small town of France, so I don't know at all about if it's used or not. Here, people are not using the same technologies because for legacy reasons. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Germany, and everyone is still using Angular here, and happy about that as well. So it's really completely different from country to country. I mean, there's still React in Germany as well, but if I look up for jobs, I'm gonna find a whole lot of Angular jobs here in Germany. So do you have any, because I'm really interested in Amplify, I never really used it. It has been on my to-do list for like 3 years at least now, because I really enjoy tools. I enjoy Firebase, I enjoy Superbase, I've used AppWrite, I have used nhost, like all these. I haven't used AWS Amplify. Please tell me why I should use it.
No, I will say the opposite. I will say don't use it.
That's because
because so you did some episode about Firebase, Superbase, and things like that. So now you need to upgrade your content, or so you can't do everything. So you need to focus. That's the same as me. I do React Native only, and that's it. I'm not interested by the rest because I don't have time. So I know I know it exists, but I will not invest my time on it because I'm never going to be good. And to keep up, so for example, I have a bootcamp in React Native where I do in-house bootcamp for the depends teams or schools or whatever. So the stack is TypeScript, React Native, Expo, Tan Stack Query, React Query, Tan Stack Query now. That's it. And plus some end-to-end testing and the storybook and things like that about the ecosystem, how to plumb this, everything. And I'm never gonna change it because even keeping it up, I hired someone. Mathis is my not intern. Apprentice. Yes, apprentice.
Okay.
And working with me just to maintain this because it takes forever. It's easy. It's the same as when you build software. Building software is easy, but maintenance over time is another challenge because you need to keep it up forever. So if there is a major version so that will be my advice for you. Don't spark your energy. Diversify your energy everywhere. Just focus on one thing and be really, really good at it.
Yeah, I thought there was something to AWS Amplify that I might miss if I use the other tools.
To be honest, it's I think it's the same. It's awesome. You just run, hey, Amplify, do magic, boom, you have a backend. Hey, Amplify, add me an endpoint, boom, you have. But the thing is the same. You still need to know how to use AWS and things like that. Because one day you will need to log into the console and figuring out, whoa, I'm on the right region, or it's Frankfurt and not London. So you need to know.
Why did I pay 5K yesterday?
Yeah, exactly. It's tough. AWS, to be honest, it's tough. I tried, but I need to focus on that and do only that. But that's another job.
Are you using it still today?
No, so I used it recently just because I was interested, and but not professionally.
Oh,
I had
okay.
the opportunity to work with, but it was the same. The planets were not aligned. So, same pro tip when you do freelance, aligning contract is like complicated because you need to be available now. Tomorrow it's too late, and when you reach back again, you're like, "Hey, I'm available." They say, "Oh no, we don't do this anymore." So, yeah, aligning the planets is complicated.
Okay, so I tried to check out your latest talk. Apparently, it was in French. But
Yeah.
from the slides, I got that you're a big fan of universal applications. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes. Because I do web. So when I discovered internet in, I don't remember. It was like, wow, it's working everywhere. So I was there when Steve Jobs killed Flash, and because back in the days, Flash websites were an experience. It was like, whoa, wait a minute, there is a rising stars and the sun, and what the fuck is going on? And since then, I was betting on open source technologies, and your app website, whatever, should be available everywhere. That's it. So it's such a choice. So for me, building universal application, this is the way. Because you never know if people are using, I don't know, web. I use like Brave browser and Firefox, and it drives me crazy when it's not working. Or people are using different old computers, Ubuntu stuff, or not flagship phone. Yes, I think it's flagship Android. So your app needs to be available everywhere.
Yeah, I usually tell this everyone who asks me as well. Like, I mean, sometimes you just need a native mobile app because your customers are only there. The scenario exists, but oftentimes you need all the platforms. And yeah, in a perfect world, we would do a native iOS and a native Android app, but who exactly has the money and the team and the time and the skills?
Oh. No, it depends. If you're a super giant company like Microsoft, Airbnb, or Apple, go for it. Create a native. Or if you are like, I don't know, like Snapchat or whatever, yes, okay, go for it.
But even they usually now have some kind of web views in their applications integrated in some ways.
Yeah.
So you created in 2017 already a universal application for web and native with React Native?
No. Back in 2017, it was not. It was separated. I don't think even the theme was. Yeah, it was shared but copy and pasted. Because the plumbing
it was a lot more painful.
Yeah. All the plumbing was different, so it was not possible. But now these days, all the stack is in JavaScript. And in my previous job, I worked for a bank in the US, and the bank is perfect. It's boring numbers.
But it must be secure, very secure.
Yeah, it must be secure, and the flow is the same. I mean, sending money, it's the same. Receiving money is the same. Signing, it's the same everywhere. So you can share your views everywhere, buttons, whatever. I don't remember what was different. Yes, on the web app, you have Google Maps, and on your phone, no, it was not Google Maps, it was a map, I don't remember. But on your phone, when you press the button, you open Google Maps or Apple Maps, if you are on Android or iOS, thing like that. But yeah, to be honest, yes, it was working. I used NX. NX is nice. It's more... how would say the enterprise solution to create like your backend, your frontend, your 5 different websites, and the mobile app in the same mono repo. To be honest, it's nice. It's not the same as using Solito, Tamagui, or something like that, where it's more one app, multiple platform. NX is more multiple projects. It's the same. It depends on the size of your team. If you have 250 person, okay, you can. You need to put stuff in place to align everyone in the same direction.
Yeah, I've seen that. I personally haven't really used NX besides some tests because I work on small projects. I'm usually alone or with some, and I just don't see the value in it. But of course, yeah, if you have like a super big enterprise, a workspace setting totally makes sense. But I'd like to know more about this. So I've seen Tamagui and Solito and Expo, and I'm not 100% sure how well they play together. Do you have any experience with the three and build anything with them?
Yes. So yeah, with Tamagui, what I build. I plan to build 6 applications over the next 6 months.
Oh, you make a challenge?
Yes, just with my intern. Hey, Mathis, ship it this week. That's my message.
Nice.
We did the backlog this morning. So now, send it. Yeah, Simon, you need to send him a tweet. Hey, what's going on with your app? It's not online.
I will send it after the recording.
Yes. Just to practice, because that's how you learn stuff. You are not going to learn by just watching your screen. So yes, just to learn stuff, and professionally not, because so Tamagui is awesome, but it's the same thing. It's a chicken or egg problem. If you are if you, let's say tomorrow someone hire me to create a new greenfield application where there is nothing in place, cool, go for it. We are going to use Tamagui. It's going to be awesome. But it's not the reality. The reality is you often need to deal with stuff already in place, or hey, we called you 3 years ago to work on your project to migrate from Expo 30 to 33. We didn't change, and now we can't update to the store, so that's why you are calling you again. Yeah, but last time I told you to reboot it, so yeah, if so. You can't. I think if you have like a project in place and you want to add Tamagui on top of it, no, it's not. So Tamagui is, for people who doesn't know, it's like a monorepo and a design system, an opinionated design system. Put it in place to work with Expo and XGS.
Yeah, this is the part that confuses me. So initially, I thought Tamagui was just like native base or Mentine, just like UI and components.
Yeah,
but it is different. Can you?
No, it's not different. So at core, it's a design system builder, let's say, but it's a compiler.
Okay.
So it compiles style. So it's like, think of it as SAS. SAS is you compile your CSS and boom, you have like more. It's not really the SAS like that, but let's say that you compile. So it's a compiler. And on top of it, when you generate a project, there is a monorepo, so you have access to plenty of things. Solito is just a library to have the shared routing system. So using the link from Next.js and the link from Expo Router and the navigate from React Navigation.
It combines everything under the hood?
Yeah, Solito doing one job is doing that. Yeah, that's super confusing. Of course, it's super confusing. So Solito is that. So you have Solito into Tamagui, of course, because it needs a way to share links across pages and screens. And Expo Router, it's just the file system router based available for native application. Because if people don't know, in native you need to use React Navigation, and it's looked like you put a file in your page folder. You need to use a navigation container because there is no back button and there is no tabs.
Right.
In fact, I can talk about it for 1 hour for routing system, because that's what I do in boot camps. So, but think of it as a pile of cards. When you take cards, if you want to go back on the first, you need to do all the cards, all the stack of the cards. You can't, as an URL, you can't jump in and like, hey, go there, go on settings. Yeah, just click here. No, there is no links. So, so an Expo Router is a solution for creating file system, navigation, and having deep link in place for free. Because deep linking, when you need to do deep linking, Same. So you work on your app for 1 year, and after that, your CEO say, "Hey, deep linking looks nice. I want it. I want this feature for tomorrow." You're like, "Oh, that's gonna be painful."
Deep linking is a major pain in the ass.
Yeah.
I've created a tutorial on this for something else, not React Native, and I put this image of Galadriel telling you just go off the path one little thing, and everything blows up. And that's the same for
Yeah.
deep linking. Like,
Yeah.
just mess up one little step in the beginning of the 20 different steps, and you also won't
Exactly.
get a helpful error message in the end.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Hard to
Expo
debug.
Router is, I read that it's great for that as well. And it basically, Expo Router sits on top of React Navigation. So
Yeah, exactly. So you don't need to change your step, or you can still work on the same path. It's a nice add-on. It's not like it's Angular 2 to redo everything. So yeah.
So the only problem I have is if I now only want to use, let's say, Expo, and I mean, I don't really need Next.js for the web because I can build with Expo for the web as well now. Can I just add Tamagui to Expo? Does that make sense? Or is Tamagui really made for Expo plus Next.js and then going for all the platforms?
Yeah, it's made for Expo plus Next.js because, but you can, to be honest, you can. Why? Why would you do that? No, it's possible. To be honest, okay. So let's say, hey, I don't like Guillermo, so I never gonna use Vercel, and the team is horrible. They destroyed React. I'm in a war with these guys. No problem. No problem.
I mean,
But
the question
is
is why
Tamagui-
does Expo Web exist in that case? If we
So,
all say
yeah.
let's just follow Guillaume and let's just always use Next.
Yeah. So React Native Web or Expo Web.
I mean React Native Web. Yeah.
Yeah, parce que Expo Web is different. Don't talk about it. Let's focus on. So there is a solution. So for people who doesn't know, we do React Native to build iOS and Android apps.
Yes.
The thing is, you can use React Native to build web apps. And this thing is called React Native Web. What the fuck is going on? So the first time I heard this term, it doesn't make any sense. but yes, because you can share your component. Let's say you write, I don't know, typography, text, and it's the same primitive everywhere. So React Native Web exists to share code between platforms and to have the DOM available on React Native. No mistakes. so you can still do it. So let's say you scaffold a new Expo application. Okay, you do the hard part. You choose the hard path. You choose to import Tamagui and set up the compiler yourself. It's possible. Do it, no problem. You can still use just React Native Web. That's it. No Next.js, nothing fancy, and it's gonna work. But the thing is, you will not benefit of the server-side rendering. It will just be a single-page application. It's gonna work.
Okay.
But for example, okay, you ship that, it's working. It's Friday. The CEO asks you, "Hey, why we are not on Google? Don't you? The SEO is working?" You're like, "Oh, fuck."
Yeah, that's the problem with SPA and.
Yeah, at some point you will need to have a robots.txt or just a landing page or just a marketing page. So add Next.js just in case, even if it's just a simple page, you never know.
So I want to come back to this before we wrap up. I heard that you don't like Expo for web. I mean, from
Expo
what I
for
learned
web.
about Expo for the web with their recent updates, I can get a static output. Like I can include now HTML stuff. I can even include CSS. It totally makes sense with Expo Router and the routes and static output. We even got like get static path, and you can define that stuff. And I mean, that's why I think, can we just stick in Expo land and just do Expo native and Expo web?
To be honest, I never Expo-web.
Mm.
Yeah, I never. So I know I never used it. In fact,
Okay.
same. I never had time to dig on it, and I was like, oh, let's don't talk about it. But if you want to know more about it, Evan Bacon did a talk.
Mm-hmm.
You need to watch all the metro bundling stuff at ABS. Whoa, look at that. It's
Yeah, FJS Conf. We're not sponsoring this, but it's a great conference. I learned a lot.
Yeah, it's a great conference, and if you want to know more, watch the talks. They are more about plumbing. And as I said, I'm a freelance. I don't have time for the plumbing.
Mm-hmm.
Solutions that work and in production. But it's the same. It's just a different job. I mean, if Expo want to hire me and work on this particular feature, okay, no problem. But it's just a different job at the end. And plus, as I said, you need to focus on one thing. To be successful and be good at what you do, you need to focus. Otherwise, it's impossible to know how everything works.
Perfect last words to wrap up. We could, I guess, talk an hour more about the Expo router and the front-end tree lemma and maybe even Angular. I heard from your background you also know it. But I got five little questions to wrap this up. We didn't prepare this, but I think you can handle this. They are easy questions. So give me quick answers to these.
Rapid fire,
question,
no problem.
You're right. Rapid fire questions. Number 1, Star Wars or Star Trek?
Yeah, tough. I would say Star Wars, but Disney destroys Star Wars, so... Yeah.
We're talking to an expert here. Okay, David has earned the right to at least come back because he didn't say Star Trek. I can accept Star Wars and what you said. Yeah. Okay, question number 2, Mac or Windows?
Yeah, it's the same. macOS 100%. I worked with Windows, and if you want to be good, macOS it's just working. I mean, there is a terminal, there is productivity tools like Alfred app and Raycast. Can talk about it forever.
Yeah, David has definitely earned the right to come back. I love it. Okay, your favorite IDE?
The one that works. To be honest, I use Sublime Text forever.
Oh,
but I
use
VS Code. It's good, but Sublime Text, because it's fast and there is nothing. You just write text, and it's like opening instantly. So
I'm always greeted by at least one error when I open Visual Studio Code. I don't know exactly what I messed up, and I'm also not interested in fixing it. I just hope.
I know. You have a M1.
Yes.
Okay, so you need to install the M1 version. Because I was the same. Recently, I got this pop-in who say, hey, you need to install the Silicon version. And I was like, I clicked and now it's open instantly.
Interesting. I'm going to check that out. That's an interesting.
Yes, they released it recently. I don't know when they released it, but yeah.
Okay, but I got also some NPM problems, so I don't know if it's just this version or me as well. Anyway, what's your latest discovered package, library, or service that you can recommend? Anything cool you recently stumbled upon?
Good question. I will go on github.com/Xbox/stars where I can see my stars. Because there is many, but it's always a small, it's Tamagui. We already talked about Tamagui, so I will say icon badge from Obytes.
Okay, what is this about?
It's just an npm package to app icon badge from Obytes. OBYTES. It's just to display a little banner or on corner right to say, hey, this is a version 1.2, it's the staging app. Or it's a version 3 and it's the production app. No, because you don't display a ribbon on production app just for testing apps.
Usually not, only if you're using Flutter.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that definitely in the show notes. I'm going to grab that link. So last question, somewhat related to this, but now financial. What was your last useful purchase?
Useful.
Must not
bot.
be related to technology. Can also be the plant in your background or.
Useful. It's father.
Yeah, I added
got
useful. Yeah.
I got a baby, so it's like
Congratulations.
stuff for babies, you know. Useful, yeah, but about technology, no. Pen, no. But the last one, yeah. I don't know. I'm a minimalist, so I don't
Pen
look
is
at
good.
I don't look at stuff. You know, I take years to choose one thing, but then when I choose it, I'm all in. Like a backpack. I'm a backpack guy. I like backpacks.
Yeah, I can live with that. And to be honest, like I'm a dad as well, and we bought by our daughter stuff. But to be
Yeah.
honest, all my underwear has holes in it, and my socks as well. And
Yeah.
I don't buy new stuff for myself,
So
but
yes,
she has
I
like
know.
the fancy stuff.
That's how I would answer to your question. It's not what is the last thing I bought. It's like the last thing I didn't buy.
Yeah, exactly. So this was an epic conversation. I really enjoyed your insights, especially about being focused on shipping stuff and not jumping into the latest and greatest technologies.
Yes.
Anything you want to plug? Where can people find you? Now's your 30 seconds to shine.
Yes, I got like there is this website called Twitter, and now it's X. It's just yes, I know. Go on GitHub/Flexbox, github.com/Flexbox.
Awesome. And
Or
you can
Twitter,
find me at galaxies.dev. You're going to find me on YouTube and Instagram, different name, but I'm sure at some point you're going to find me anyway. So thanks for joining today, David, and I'm sure I'm going to see you again in the future.
Hey, take care of you.